So I want to demonstrate a couple different ways that this can be played. I incorporated 16 jingles onto the rods, and I did that deliberately because at the time that I was designing this, I was completely enamored with the images that I saw carved on the temple walls. Lane Redman is the person who first planted the seed for me to even think about this being an instrument that we used as part of ritual in her book, When the Drummers Were Women. So I had heard about it. I had heard about the temple dedicated to Hathor at Dendera, but it wasn't until I traveled to Egypt in 2007 that I was completely awakened to the omnipresence of Hathor everywhere I went. I saw her imagery. You will see pillars with her face. There are sistrum pillars, so those sistrum pillars that are used in architectural design have her face on them. And then there's wall engravings, and of course there are papyrus and tomb paintings that have imagery of women playing this instrument. And so seeing it over and over again, I came back from Egypt and I really wanted to have one of these in my collection of singing bowls and frame drums and Egyptian tambourines, etc., finger cymbals. But at that time, there were none except on museum shelves. So I was inspired to start doing research on this instrument to see if I could reemerge it in the 21st century and be able to have one in my hand and empower other women to have it. A really important thing to me to bring the sistrum back, because it was a part of our history and it was played by women and it was used in these community festivals and ritual celebrations at the temples. And as those of you who have one of these in your hands recognizes, this is like putting a rattle in a baby's hand. There's really no learning curve. You can play this immediately. So meanwhile, when I designed this, I was very deliberate, as I said earlier, to include the snake rod design and the face of the goddess. And I chose to put 16 jingles in here because of the numerology and the magic of the number 7. So 16 is 1 plus 6 is 7. So that was my intent when I added the 16 jingles to this. Plus, playing at outdoor community festivals, I wanted it to have a robust sound. And it does. So when I first started playing it, I was playing it most robustly. I will let all the jingles slide forward. Oh, and by the way, let me just mention this. You see how the jingles kind of scratch the inside of the hoop? You can apply, just take a walnut, fresh walnut, and just rub it on here, and the oil of the walnut will decrease and diminish the scratch. So I used to play it with all the jingles forward and holding it with very lightly with my hand and just doing a slight flick of the wrist. Okay? If you use a fulcrum point at your elbow and take it all the way down and all the way back, there's too much time that elapses. And so you can't really play your rhythm. And there just ends up being a whole lot of drag on the jingles. So you want to keep it as a very small flick of the wrist. So I was playing it, as I said, at the festivals, the outdoor festivals that I was playing at, with the full robust sound of the instrument. So I would go, if I was playing the Ayub pattern, I would go 1, 2, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, and. But for purposes of this video, and also to not drive everybody in your home completely insane when you're playing your sistrum or practicing it, I've changed to playing it with, oh, how lovely, the face of the goddess facing out and also smiling back at you. So, but I still incorporate that flick of the wrist. But now I try to just get the jingles to be kind of evenly spaced on the rods, and then I just flick, 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 flick. So I use the same idea of flicking my wrist to denote the downbeat and the upbeat, or you can just keep it simple and just flick it forward. So you can tell it's really soft now, which is lovely. The other thing I want to remember to mention is that you can ever so slightly move your hand back and forth and back and forth and create a shimmer. And I believe it's the shimmer that was used in the innermost sanctuary of the temple to begin the ritual. So the idea was to shimmer the sistrum, to clear the space, to allow the presence of the divine to enter. And I find that really interesting because it is documented that of all the instruments that were a part of the processional, so we had the harp, we had clackers, we had the frame drum, we had a stringed instrument known as the lyre. All of those instruments that were part of the processional, also including the sistrum, stayed outside the innermost sanctuary where the daily rituals took place, where the deity was bathed and clothed and incense was burned and rituals, chants were spoken, etc. The only instrument other than the voice that came into the innermost sanctuary was the sistrum.